Hi guys, Darth Deuces here, back with another Star Wars The Black Series action figure review. Today taking a look at a new release. This is the ISB Tactical Agent from Andor Season 2. I think this is, what is this, a Target exclusive in the States? This might be a Target exclusive in the States. It is exclusive, as far as I know, to EB Games here in Canada, formerly GameStop. They changed the name again. And yeah, I got this in today. I did pre-order it, although I'll be completely honest, I only pre-ordered this figure because I needed the threshold to get free shipping with pre-ordering another figure, which now we don't even get free shipping from EB Games Canada anymore. It's a lot less worth it to buy from them now. It used to be really good because if you have Edge membership and you get free shipping, you can save a decent amount of money, but it's just not the same now without the free shipping offer. Anyways, I'm getting off topic here. We have the ISB Tactical Agent. We saw these towards the end of the series, going into the breaching the safe house and all that. Really cool to get basically Compnor troopers in figure form. You know, a bit more of a not as well known branch of armed forces from the Empire. So it's cool to see them in plastic form. And the figure's cool. It has a decent amount of new sculpting. But also has some reuse, and I'll go over that. So let's take a closer look. I do really like the design of these guys. They've got a nice amount of armor and a very cool, just trooper looking design. So I think it makes for a cool army builder in that degree. The head sculpt looks really nice, and the face print is pretty clean, maybe ever so slightly glossy, but overall it's pretty clean. It looks pretty nice. You got the hair there. There's actually, I think, a little tiny bit of a wash in the hair too, so that's pretty cool. He's wearing a black officer's cap with a little silver dot there in this middle. You can't actually remove the hat, so that's kind of fun. I don't know if the hat's a reused piece or not. It might be reused from Piet. I'm not sure. And then you can, have the head sculpt without the hat. And in the show, there was, at least the squad leader didn't have the hat on. I don't know if any of the other troopers didn't have the hat on or not, but at least one of them didn't have the hat on. So if you were to go into army build, you could have like some with their hats on, some with their hats off, whatever you want to do. So I think it is cool. That's a removable accessory. Then the torso is a reuse of the mud trooper. You can tell because it has the portholes in the top there for the hoses from the mask for that figure. So kind of an older torso, and you can tell when it comes to articulation, it's a bit dated, but it is more or less what their armor looked like. And it does look good. I like the white glossy plastic used for that. And there's some nice paint detail on the little back piece, so that's cool. And I like that they painted the silver on the buckles there, on the shoulders there. Then I think the arms, except for the hands, are all new. The shoulders are very Stormtrooper looking, but I don't think they're reused, because I don't think they're reuse of the old Stormtrooper mold, and they're not the new Stormtrooper mold because they don't have, the shoulder pads aren't attached to the, in between the shoulder joint, they're just attached to the bicep there. So I think that's actually new. And then the forearms are definitely new. We haven't seen this bulkier, more square looking forearm armor before, but I think it looks really nice. I like that a lot. It looks cool. And then I think the hands are actually reuse of the 2020 Stormtrooper mold, but they work well for what they should do, with the right hand in a trigger finger hand, and the left hand's a bit more open. Then in the waist here, this whole belt slash lower waist piece is a new piece, so that looks pretty good. It is made of a softer plastic and is cut on both sides, so it will kind of get out of the way for articulation. The legs, I assume, are reused because they're double hinged, pegged, and that's the old engineering. We don't see that usually when they do new legs. They just do a single pinless hinge now. But I can't place where these legs are from. I thought maybe they just were used from the Mud Trooper, but they're not. They are a different leg from the Mud Trooper, and I'll show that later. So I'm actually not sure where these legs come from, but they still work, good. The knee joint's maybe a little ugly when you, or not a little. The knee joint is pretty ugly when you bend it, I won't lie. Especially from this lower hinge. There's a lot of gappage there. But not a huge deal, I guess. And then the lower legs, the feet and the shins are new pieces, I do believe. So there's a decent amount of new, a bit of old too, and unfortunately the bit of old reuse does kind of is noticeable, mainly when it comes to articulation. He's a bit stiffer and not as well posable as a lot of more modern figures that have a lot more new tooling. Speaking of the articulation though, you do have a dumbbell joint at the neck. You get a decent range of motion, up about that far, down, a bit of pivot, rotation. You rotate the arms, they go out about that far until the shoulder pad gets caught in the torso mold. There is no bicep swivel, but you do have single hinges at the elbows that go about 90. I do wish these bent a bit further in. It can be a bit tough getting blaster aiming poses with the elbows not going in further. They do rotate though. Swivel at the wrist. The right hand has a up and down hinge at the wrist, which actually moves pretty well. I do like that. Then the left hand goes in and out. There's a torso joint underneath the armor there. If you really go, it can arch back actually a decent amount. It just crunches forward just a little bit. There's a little bit of pivot and rotation. Standard hip joints, they go out quite a ways. Kick forward decent amount, about that far. There's a swivel cut at the thigh because it's an older leg. And then, like we kind of already showed, it does have really deep knee hinges because of the double hinge, but they are pretty ugly, again, like I said. And then there's actually a swivel cut at the boot there, and then a hinge at the ankle that goes down about that far. It goes up about that far, and then rocker for pivot. So articulation is not bad. Like I said, just some spots are a bit dated and a bit more rigid than I'd like. And some of the articulation points, like the elbows, are quite rigid. Like they're not super smooth. So it's just a little unfortunate, but not the worst thing ever. In terms of accessories, we already saw he does have the hat, which I do prefer him with the hat on. Completes the look. And then we do get the new blaster rifle that we saw them use in the show. It's cast in a black or really dark gray, and then a really little small hint of silver at the very end of the barrel there. But it's sculpted really nicely, and it's actually made of a pretty sturdy plastic. It's not super gummy or anything, so it shouldn't really warp, which is nice. So I like that. And he holds it well in his hand, like so. And it's not too much of a hassle to get a two-handed pose. The left hand is meant to hold, be the supporting hand for the rifle, so you can get a two-handed pose. Not too bad at rest, and you gotta finagle with it a bit, but you can get it. The wrist hinges luckily help a decent amount, but you can get him. It's not the best looking because the stock of the rifle isn't resting in his shoulder there, but you can get him aiming it. It just looks a little awkward, but it's not too bad. And it's pretty cool. I like the rifle design. Very nice looking blaster. But yeah, overall, it's not a bad figure. I do like it. It's just, I don't think it was a really, must have. It was definitely I pre-ordered it because I needed that threshold kind of deal. But it is cool. And I think it's cool as an army builder. If you just want some of these Comp Force ISB Tactical Agent little squad for your Andor display, it's very cool for that. It's probably also going to be pretty good for custom fodder. There's, a lot of generic trooper pieces here for that. So yeah, overall, I don't think it's a terrible figure. I don't think it's a must-have. It's definitely not like a major character must-have, but if you're a fan of Imperial Army building, Imperial troopers, and all that sort of stuff, it's definitely a worthwhile one to look into getting, at least eventually, maybe on sale. But it's a cool one. Before we go, though, I will do some quick comparisons. So here he is with Dedra. I think they look pretty good together. Definitely look like they're part of, the relatively same organization. Here he is with the 2020 Stormtrooper. Like I said, I think he shares the hands from this figure. You'll have to excuse the Stormtrooper. This one's kind of dusty. Here he is with this is the Tank Trooper, but uses a lot of the same pieces as the Mud Trooper. And you can see the similarities, the same torso, not the same arms. Even the shoulders, they're not reused, they are different. But the torso is the same, and I assume the lower torso is the same as well. But the legs are not. You can tell that the legs are not the same. The lower legs aren't the same, and the upper legs aren't the same. But like I said, The upper legs are still pinned, so I'm not sure where those legs come from, but they don't come from this figure. Oops. And then lastly, another Andor trooper. Here is the army trooper with the black armor from, I think, a couple of years ago now. And they look pretty good together as well. So yeah, again, overall, it's a pretty solid figure. I am happy there's a decent amount of new sculpting going on here. The reuse, for the most part, makes sense, but it does age the figure a little bit in terms of feel and posability, but it's not too bad. And again, like I said, not a must-have, but if you are interested in like getting the different various Imperial troopers and whatnot, then I would definitely recommend it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all next video. May the Force be with you.